Let's have a laugh.
In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of Pops and Cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Best Gen. It's called Best Gen because we're all from the same generation, and we happen to think that it's the best. We are very accepting, though, however, of all creeds and colors. It doesn't matter what generation you're from. It doesn't matter when you were born, just as long as you can acknowledge that Furby is the Antichrist. So, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to complain about nerdy things, except there's not a lot of complaining to do today because we watched 2 episodes of Raised by Wolves, Season 1, Episode 4 and 5.
Wait, two episodes?
Yeah, 2 episodes, you know.
Oh, don't do that to me, Jared. Don't.
Guys, come on. No, I watched 2. We watched.
All right. Okay. Good.
Episodes 4 and 5 of Season 1, and they're really good. We're going to talk about them. We're going to have a good time talking. And so, yeah, welcome in the chat. You're welcome to send us questions. We'll try and respond to those. I can't even activate super chats, so chat away, everybody. How you guys doing?
Great.
Tanner's got some noodles. He hasn't finished his dinner. I have not eaten dinner yet.
They're spinach-based noodles, so I'm getting my veggies in.
I don't think that's how that works.
No, you get conservative vegetables.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I too dabble in delusion occasionally.
Look, they're green. All right.
What if it's just green food coloring and they're like, yeah, these are spinach based?
They taste like spinach, okay?
And a little bit of flavoring.
Introducing tonight's guests, we have my friend Tanner, who's eating noodles. We have my brother David, and we got my cousin Jared, who's an architect in Arizona right now. Almost finished with school, right?
Yep. 1 more year.
So, oh yes, and also, of course, last but certainly the best, me, delegate elect. So.
That will never get old, will it?
Oh,
He's going to milk that for all it's worth.
We got a question. Who here was born in the 80s? I think that's just you, David, right? David was barely born in the 80s.
Hey, 2 years. I got 2 years in the 80s. All right, that counts.
Yeah. Most of us are early 90s. I'm 91.
Me too.
And
93.
I think Corwin might have been born in the 80s. He's maybe got a year on me. Maybe he was 90. I'll have to ask.
Okay.
But we all grew up on 80s movies because
one of my favorite things growing up was my mom would share an 80s movie with us and would be like, "Oh, this is so good. We should watch it." We're like not this was when we were kids, not teenagers.
Yeah.
We would be like, "Oh, this movie's so good. We should watch it." And then like 80s movie ratings weren't really the same as modern day. So she'd be like, "It's PG. Oh, I love this when I was a kid."
Yeah,
And then it's like just straight up a pair of boobs flash on screen. Or
Yeah,
like,
I'm pretty sure Airplane is PG and it's got boobs in it.
Yeah, they didn't have a PG-13 rating back then, so
my mom,
PG to R.
she would put these movies on, and then they had like all this sexual content that children definitely should have been seeing, and be like, "Oh, I didn't remember." But I did watch a lot of 80s.
That's why you got to stick with bed knobs and broomsticks, man. Seriously. It's the whole show takes place on a bed.
Wow.
Trivia: does anyone know what the first PG-13 movie was? I know David knows.
I do not. I mean, I've probably read about it because I've definitely learned about the.
David, you don't know? You don't know this?
I
knew it at one point.
It's a I guess I'm just the smart one here.
Guess so.
Indiana Jones 2.
Really?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom created the PG-13 rating.
That's right.
Whoa! Wait a second.
It was at the behest of the creators too, because they're like, this is a little bit intense for PG, but they didn't want it to be R because it's tame.
Yeah, it's a family movie, but yeah, you're ripping hearts out.
But a guy gets his heart ripped out on camera. It's probably a bit much for PG.
Yeah.
I don't. Is that Corwin?
Believe it or not.
Whoa! Off duty.
He's
Believe it or not, I exist out of uniform.
Corwin, you left your jacket in my car, and I almost wore it today. But I don't know if that counts as impersonating an officer.
Nope.
I was thinking we could have like a segment called like Content Cop, like iDubbbz used to do, and like you're under arrest for your bad Screen Rant takes. It's just Screen Rant bad takes, but I'm in a uniform.
There you go. It's more authoritative.
Did anyone watch Corwin's recommendation too of Balin's Route?
I did. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, let's talk about that first because it's quick.
Cool.
I was gonna save it for later, but Corwin jumped on. So
yeah. Let's go for it. I want to hear your guys' take. I guess my first thing that I'll just say is I was extraordinary. Like, is it the best thing ever? No, obviously.
No.
But for such a small crew, a YouTube channel, I was extraordinarily surprised at how good everything about it was. Like, I'm actually, I want to hear some negative stuff because obviously, apart from like the big glaring stuff, like the graphics weren't phenomenal, but it's a small studio, right? It's just YouTube.
That was fine.
Like, I don't see any negatives to it. I thought it was brilliant.
It was pretty good. It wasn't. I do have one negative. Well, not really. I just wish that it was called Balin's Route, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about this NPCs. He's only, if anybody's not familiar with it in our audience, Viva La Dirt League has these.
They're usually short
sketches. They're
sketches,
very short, like under 3 minutes or so, and they're hilarious. I'd watched a number of them before, and for some reason, I was still not subscribed. So I went and watched that, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd seen this video. and I just this whole week I've been watching Viva La Dirt League, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was good." But anyways,
the premise is it's like from the perspective of NPCs trapped in a video game and how stupid video game logic often is. I think they have like a dumb logic in a bunch of different video games.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's a few NPCs that are sentient, like they know they're in a video game.
Yeah,
right.
And so it just kind of creates a really fun dichotomy.
So
what was your point, David?
Yeah, I took this as kind of it was kind of Balin, becoming aware that he was an NPC, kind of, and breaking free of that mold, and it was really cool. I liked the story, and I liked what they were able to do with that. My only criticism is I think that it caters more towards people that are already familiar with Viva La Dirt League.
Yeah,
sure.
There's a lot of inside jokes.
I wish. It's not just inside jokes. It's just a lot of the world, as they have established it in their previous shorts, wasn't really mentioned in this short. Mm-hmm. So I would have liked some more backstories, like, oh, what's the deal with this? Just some, some playable characters in the world. Like, what's up with this character? Is like, oh, he was just programmed with that one line. It's all he says. Something like that. And I think at the very beginning, they should have had him complete one day just going his normal route without any deviations, and then have it start where it starts again, and he gets
that's exactly what I was going to say. I enjoyed it a bit. I think it obviously caters to the people who watch their channel, who presumably seen one of their shorts. But if you haven't seen him before, like it could be a little jarring. But I think it could have served well if they just took 2 minutes to just show him going through his route, not being interrupted, and then start the day over again and get interrupted by this stuff that happens.
And it could have been just like a 2-minute loop of him doing his thing before the intro or whatever, and then it starts again.
And have a player character say like, "Oh, it's Bailey, and he only has the one line he ever says."
Exactly. Yeah.
But which really is obviously filled in if you've seen any of their shorts.
Exactly. That was my one criticism, is that they should have done more world building for those that hadn't seen anything else. Because
I could see that. Yeah, I'd watched a lot of their stuff, so yeah, I could. Now that you're saying that, I could see that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
it was really good.
I think they showed a lot of stuff.
It's a minor criticism,
right?
Well, but even with that criticism, though, like there's a lot of stuff in this take, right, where like they show him deviating from the path, right, where it's like little things like that, where I was like, oh, he's an NBC. Of course, like he's kind of weary to stray from the path because that's his path that he takes. That's his sort of routine
route.
Yeah, his route. And so I think they did little things like that indicated, okay, like this is what he's stuck to. This is what he does, right? And obviously, the fact that that's the only thing he says throughout the movie, you kind of get the idea of, oh yeah, he's an NBC and this is all he says, right?
Yeah, you could definitely pick it up through context clues.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really, I guess it's not a big criticism because I have watched some of those shows, but at the same time, I felt like they explained it in a way where I was like, yeah, okay, like I see what they're showing with the NPC and how he's going throughout his day, but he's an NPC, so he's not helpful, right? So the guys are literally dying while he's watching them, and like, right? So there's little things like that.
I thought it was genius that at the beginning, I mean, spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it yet in the audience, but because it's kind of hard to talk about such a short little show without a few spoilers here and there. Mm-hmm. But how the guy that recruits him has to like hack the system and force recruit him. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, that was
he
good.
Literally hacks it, and then Balin's, because he's like, follow me, and Balin's like you were saying, Jared, but he's like, no, I can't. Like, but he can't say anything because all he's been programmed to say is "nice day for fishing, ain't it?" Yeah. And so the guy's finally like, screw this, and he hacks into it and forces him to follow him. I don't know. I just thought it was, you could tell that when they did this, they did it with a ton of love.
Oh yeah,
for what they were doing. A passion for what they were doing.
It was crowdfunded, right?
No, it was. If it was crowdfunded from, I don't think it was. I think it was just them doing it. I think they just did it. They recently did it. Viva La Dirt recently did a crowdfunding because they're wanting to build their own studio. I believe they got it. I'm not sure all on that. But as far as that little video, I think they just did it with the money.
It was on Kickstarter.
Was it a Kickstarter?
Yeah.
But it was, I felt like, especially after watching, for example, what we've talked about in the past weeks is like Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That was it was a 30-minute show you enjoyed watching it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to watch another one because I've got to talk about it or whatever it was. I thought it was brilliantly done, well shot. I loved that Balin was able to get across multiple conversations with the simple nice day for fishing, ain't it, just because of his acting ability. And either the awkwardness or the somberness or the excitedness of whatever he's trying to say came out across. I thought it was just brilliant.
I don't even think that Balin was like the standout actor. I thought that Willow did an even better job.
Is that the girl?
The girl, yeah. Yes. She did a perfect job of sounding like a video game character without it being cheesy and corny and hard to watch.
Yeah. And then that whole gag recurring about her parentage. Like, oh, sorry, traveler, I've been lying to you.
Yep.
I'm really,
Yep.
you know.
The whole time, I'm really a princess in disguise.
Yeah.
I really
Classic
enjoyed her
video
acting.
game.
I thought it was good. I liked watching it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, I gotta say too, I think the whole premise of the thing was pretty good. How like he's an NPC that takes on this hero's journey of his own,
Yeah.
and essentially becomes the hero himself, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. It was it's a good story.
The fight choreography was pretty good. There was that one. It was a pretty impressive one take fight scene against all the orcs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There
Just the
were
one fight scene, and
there were
considering
several
they
hidden cuts, but it was pretty good.
don't- and you know there was no. They don't do fight scenes. They don't do fight
Yeah,
scenes.
yeah.
Right.
I remember watching it a couple months ago, and I rewatched it again this week. I just remember watching it and thinking I was blown away. I was like, this is not what I was expecting from a YouTube group of friends, YouTube wise, versus studios, multi-million, hundreds of millions, if not billion-dollar studios, and they're putting out better content than some of the crap.
I honestly think it's the future of entertainment. It's just independent stuff because I am so disillusioned with anything coming out of Hollywood right now. But like this was very entertaining. I watched all of Daily Wire's 3 movies and I liked them a lot. And what was the other one we were talking about that was just made by a nobody that was super good? We talked about it on the show. I can't remember. Like Corridor Digital.
Oh yeah.
They made their TV show a couple years ago. It was like a Call of Duty show. I think it was called Rush. That was pretty good too. But yeah, I'm preferring these low budget fan made projects that have passion behind them so much more than I'm enjoying stuff that just has money thrown at it, but no one cares.
Yep. Agreed. I'm hopeful for Moon Knight and Kenobi, but we shall see.
Next week, Moon Knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't watched it, if you haven't seen Balin's Route, go watch it. It's 30 minutes. It sounds like no one really has any negative things to say about it out of the 5 of us.
The orcs' mouths don't move
Right.
because they're giant prosthetics, and there's not any.
What?
Yeah, a
They're
lot of
not
the lines.
CGI
A lot of the lines
armor.
you just see like the jaw, like.
Yeah.
They were good prosthetics, though.
Yeah, they look pretty
Aside
good.
from being able to talk, they look good.
I like this question. I feel like that's a good segue because this is the big studio version of Balin's Route. Have you guys seen Free Guy?
I haven't seen it
Yes.
yet. No. Looks good.
I've seen it. Jared's seen it. Tanner's seen it. Did you guys like it?
I did, yeah. I liked it.
I thought it was funny. It had its moments.
It's
did
a
not
Ryan
have-
Reynolds though, so I love a lot of what Ryan Reynolds does.
Ryan Reynolds does a lot of heavy lifting, but I had a lot of problems with the movie. I didn't really enjoy it. Obviously Ryan Reynolds is like a pleasure, right? He's funny. and that was not the problem. But it felt like it was made by people who hated video games, or hated people who play video games.
Really?
Why? Why is that? How do you
I
feel
mean,
like-
there were several lines in there where like, oh, the only one, anyone who plays, it's obviously like GTA, right? Anyone who plays GTA is like a complete degenerate and doesn't have any redeemable qualities. Like that was like the premise of the movie. Like all the player characters were dicks, and like I don't play a lot of GTA, but like it has one of the highest like role play communities of like some people just play GTA just to like they're nice, But there was that line, and then the finale was really boring for me. When he starts pulling out weapons, like the shield and
against
shield that he uses, and everyone is surprised by it, except that everyone had been watching him. like he'd become a media sensation, and everyone was following Free Guy and watching him level up and make this progression. And then in the final fight scene, there were several times where people were surprised by his inventory, which doesn't make. I'm trying to say it without like spoiling. It was a stupid moment, in my opinion, because like he pulls out the shield, and everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, how did he get that?" But if that existed in the game, everyone would have one, right? As soon as they saw he's got one, everyone would go and get it, and especially with the lightsaber, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's got a lightsaber," and everyone was surprised. And I was like, they kept it a secret just so that it could be a surprise for the audience watching it now, but it made no sense in universe. There's a lot of things like that bother me.
I guess I just didn't feel like it was. I guess it was just a fun movie that I didn't read much into.
There was fun parts of it.
And I guess I'm just saying I just don't feel like this movie. Like I'm not saying that your critiques aren't valid. I'm just saying like it's not a movie to critique unless it's absolute garbage. You know what I mean? Like there's no deep message hidden behind it. It's just a simple.
Yeah.
This is for pure entertainment.
It was
I did like what they did with the two developers, like their story behind it.
That was nice.
I thought it was a really original way of telling that story, of like, she's actually just in love with the creator, right? I thought it was clever. It has its moments. I was expecting to like it a lot more, and I just like didn't have a great time.
Yeah.
I think they've done that premise a lot. They've got Ready Player One and Wreck-It Ralph. There's a lot of that type of story out there now, but it looks fun, and I want to see it. So
it's unoffensive. I think they could have done better. It didn't like do poorly. Is that it wasn't like Boba Fett where it's just like impossible to enjoy.
It's just a movie for your entertainment. Like it's just a movie. Like let's sit down and let's watch a funny movie that has some laughs into it. Sit down and watch it. You're not going to regret it, but you're not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is my all-time favorite movie.
It was fine. I liked Balin's route more. So,
if you want a movie to think about with a similar concept, just go watch The Truman Show.
Oh yeah,
because
that's a classic.
That one's got more to think about in it.
Now I want to watch The Truman Show. That movie's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah. We also got some questions asking about the Halo TV show, which I didn't until yesterday. I didn't even realize that it started. But yeah, the episode 1 of the Halo TV show dropped on Paramount Plus last week.
Of course.
No, it was like this week. So
I haven't watched it, but I've got some articles that we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about Halo, don't worry. No, I'm assuming no one's seen it though.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Never got around to it.
Haven't heard good things though.
Really? Oh,
Just
that's
wait.
Too bad.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Please tell us, Jacob. You said you watched it. Let us know if you enjoyed it or not.
Well, I'm
I
assuming the
have my suspicions.
emoji shows
but here's-
his hand.
I will say
I
that.
didn't see.
I
I
will
didn't
say
see the
that
emoji.
honestly,
I'm not an
that-
emoji guy. Sorry, I
It's
see an
gotta be
emoji.
hard
I
to
immediately
pl-
gloss over it. But yeah,
It's-
go on.
Gotta be hard to please the crowd that started the whole toxic online community. Let's be Halo.
That's a good point. That's
Halo
yeah.
is the crowd that began the Call of Duty. We all make fun of the Call of Duty, 13-year-old screaming at you saying I effed your mom and all that stuff. But Halo, the original Halos, 1, 2, and 3, that was the original, or 1 and 2 at least, that was the original Call of Duty. And now all those kids that grew up that were toxic are now our age. Because Halo came out when, I was 12, I want to say, or something like that. 10, 12 years old.
Oh man, I don't remember a time when Halo didn't exist.
Right, I have to look it up. Let's see.
Well, I do. It was Duck Hunt before that, so
Duck Hunt was the
but you also got to give it
Yes.
some credit. I never knew my father until I joined a Halo online lobby. Met my father for the first time. So
2001. So I was 11.
he walked out to buy some cigarettes when I was 3. We were so graciously reunited in a Halo lobby.
Very nice.
wow,
Touching
that took
story.
a real dark turn real fast.
Good for my mom. Okay, good for her. She's a hard worker.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Do you guys want to do some screen rants, bad takes now?
Let's do it. I've got a
Sure.
little bit, so let's go for it.
Okay. Let me pull up the. let's
Ooh,
do
today's
some-
is the Oscars. When is that happening?
Oh, it's
Did it already happen?
it starts at I don't care o'clock. Here's some screen rants, bad take.
Screen rants. Bad takes.
All right, our first bad take from Screen Rant is this article: Star Wars. What happened to Boba Fett's mentor, Cad Bane? Watch the show. He died. Our second article: Why the Rings of Power will be more like Game of Thrones, not Lord of the Rings. That's the problem,
This terrifies me though.
right?
Yep.
This terrifies
That's the
me.
problem. If your Lord of the Rings show is not going to be like Lord of the Rings, that's all I have to say.
Here's my big issue with it, and this is someone who, apart from season 8 of Game of Thrones, I was a Thrones fan. I watched it. I've watched it multiple times, all seasons. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. However, it is a very mature.
Yeah.
There's scenes in there that are they're straight up not family friendly. Like half the show.
Pornographic,
It's-
yes.
Yes, in a sexual manner. Violence. I mean, yeah, the violence was. I mean, it was violence, but it wasn't. There was very few times where I thought it was extreme. Mostly to do with the sexual stuff. There was a lot of it, and I can't show my kids Game of Thrones. Like, I am not going to be able to sit down with my 14 or my daughter when she turns 14 and be like, let's watch Game of Thrones, or 16 or 17 or 18. I'm not going to be able to.
No.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it. And if they're making Lord of the Rings more like Game of Thrones because they want to throw in all the sexual crap,
Which Tolkien was vehemently against.
yes, adamantly against. And there's multiple times where people asked him why he didn't have more romance or more anything apart from Aragorn and Arrow and whatnot. And he just said, I don't want that in my world. Like, I don't want it in the world I'm building. I want this to be family friendly across generations, and leave it to Amazon or whoever is doing this right now. I don't even care who it is. I think it is Amazon. Leave it to Amazon.
Amazon.
To dip their dirty little fingers in it with their crazy politically minded, nothing against whatever, but they're politically minded people that have this mentality of it's about making a statement, not a good show. So I'm just ready for the Rings of Power to suck beyond.
Well, and it's been confirmed that they hired an intimacy coordinator, and there are several sources who've behind the scenes who've come out and said that there's going to be sexual content in the show.
Like,
so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's really disappointing.
That's a bad take. Here's another one. Revenge of the Sith. Why Anakin didn't use Force healing on Padme. He wasn't there.
That's a better answer than I had.
What does it say on here, though?
I didn't even read it. Anakin Skywalker feared for
Unless they
Padme.
mean like right after he force choked her.
It kind of made sense. It's. I'm honestly just critiquing the way they're writing the headline more so than the article, because it makes sense. He was fearful that she was going to die, and that's what turned him to the dark side, right? But why couldn't he just use Force healing? But if you take it literally, it's because he literally was not present when she died. He was busy having his arms and legs chopped off and getting them reinstalled.
He was busy trying not to fall into the lake of lava, the river of lava.
I mean, and the whole turn to Darth Vader is because Padme dies. Like,
yes,
he has to die.
I'm really bummed that Obi-Wan just didn't force push him into the lava, though. Like, I know that's kind of like, but like, you're just leaving him to like suffer on the side of a river of lava.
You should have put the
burn alive because he thought he was dead, right? He was like, "Oh, I've killed him." He didn't know the Emperor. Like, you're just gonna leave someone who's like, "I love you," and
you should have put it out of its misery.
And then I'm just gonna let you suffer. Like, why wouldn't you just be like, "You were my brother, Anakin, and I'm gonna make this look like kind of Titanic." Push you into the river of lava,
or just chop his head off. I mean,
that'll work too.
Yeah, but that doesn't last in Star Wars. You cut their head off, that doesn't last.
That's true. No, just first push them into the lava.
Okay. That's another bad take. But we've got so much more. Okay, this one's funny. This one's really funny. How the Universal Monsters copied DCEU's best trick in shared universes.
What?
First off, I mean, the DCU wouldn't be the one you'd want to copy, right?
Right.
They are scrambling to fix their shared universe, and they have been ever since the MCU started, right? They tried to force the Avengers into the Justice League into one movie without the time to build it up. But also, sorry, you had a point, Corwin.
What movies of the Dark Universe? There was just like
there were two.
There was the Mummy.
There were Mummy and Dracula Untold.
Wait, Dracula Untold was part of the Dark Universe?
Yes,
it was Dracula.
No wonder I thought it was
supposed to be. It was supposed to be the launching point of the Dark Universe, and it didn't work, and so they kind of scrubbed the connection and then rebooted it again for the Mummy, and that also didn't work. But apparently,
you can't beat Brandon Fraser's The Mummy. You can't do it.
But this article is just nonsense.
Yeah, what is the best trick? I don't understand.
You want to know what the best trick is? According to Screen Rant, the DCU's best trick is not having your movies be part of a shared universe.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I'm thoroughly confused now. I do not understand you, Screen Rant.
Because after those two movies, they came out with The Invisible Man, which
one was acceptable.
not they scrub. There's no mention of the Dark Universe because it was a failure. Okay, but they made that one, and now there are plans to do an Invisible Woman spinoff and a Renfield spinoff, and they're completely unconnected. It's not part of a universe, and they're saying that's. And after DC struggled to get their shared universe, they decided to focus on smaller projects like Shazam and the Joker and the Suicide Squad, and the new Batman movie. They're no longer part of a shared universe. It's different Batmans, right? And so there's like that's their best trick. The best trick to making a shared universe is to not do it.
That's yeah.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Interesting.
It's so fun.
That's messed up.
There's also a line in this that's even more confusing. The Universal monsters, the originally apparently are considered no classics. No, that's the wrong line. Where's the line? Where did it go? They're saying that that the Universal monsters were the original shared universe, like the old movies.
Yeah, they weren't though.
Yes, considered to be the original cinematic universe for many. The Universal monsters helped pave the way for the MCU. It's the first line. I thought it was in the second paragraph. I'm stupid. Considered by who?
Yeah,
No,
they were separate movies that happened to be made by the same studio.
Yeah. There is absolutely zero through line. There are some movies where you have Dracula and Frankenstein show up, which is funny because I Googled. I was confused when I read that. I was like, wait, were the Universal monsters originally part of a shared universe? And the first article that comes up says, no, they were.
Unless you're talking about the Van Helsing movie in
no, that's not the one that they're talking
something?
about. The original ones. There were some movies where you had more than one monster, but there wasn't a shared universe part of the same story, right?
Right.
And so this article just goes about refuting that argument, but it's funny because the way that this article is premised is saying how it was a bad thing that they weren't part of the same universe. Like I've never heard this before, but all of the sudden I've seen multiple articles pushing that the Universal monsters were the original, the first instance of a shared universe, and it makes no
look this up.
It makes
and
no sense. It makes no sense. And the funniest part, like this, just goes through. Hey, look, they weren't part of they didn't begin in a shared universe. It was just a bunch of different monsters, and there were a couple where there was two monsters, but the stories had nothing to do with each other, and then they wouldn't show up in solo characters' movies. Other words, it's not a shared universe. And the funniest line is this paragraph. But when you turn to the Universal Monster Universe, continuity often goes out the window. You mean always. There was no continuity, okay? Mm-hmm. Take the two House movies, for example. In the House of Frankenstein, both Dracula and the Wolfman die, but then show up again in the very next film, The House of Dracula, with absolutely no explanation. It's because they weren't part of a shared universe. It was just a movie with more than one monster. Mm-hmm. Okay? Even more egregious, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein has no real narrative links to the movies that came before it.
I love that one. That one's such a good one.
Because it's an Abbott and Costello movie, dude.
I think that's the
comedy.
I think that's the first one we saw.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Do these people who
have
I
brains?
assume are writers and have some kind of education in like literary history and things,
that's making a lot of assumptions, but go on.
They don't understand the concept of characters in the public domain. Because Abbott and Costello obviously went, oh man, monsters are in right now. What can we do? Oh, Frankenstein's in the public domain. Let's make a movie with him. And now they're like, if you think about it, it's just it doesn't make sense that the continuity doesn't follow between the two movies. It's a cheap way to get a monster in your movie.
Other than simply having the same characters, it doesn't even try to connect to the rest of the universe in any way because it wasn't a universe.
Read the next.
I know.
It's almost
it's not clear whether it's even part of that continuity because there was no continuity. It's almost like Universal wasn't trying to create a cohesive because they weren't.
It's not almost like it. It's exactly like it because they weren't. That's hilarious.
This isn't
so funny.
This
would be a good article.
Were popular, so they kept making a bunch of them.
Yep.
This would be a good article, except for the way that it's framed. Like it's saying, hey, the whole argument of this article is, hey, the monster universe wasn't a shared universe. But the entire article is framed like it was. It makes no sense.
This really feels like something like a senior in high school wrote when they're taking a film literature or like a film history course.
Yep.
Yeah.
In like they're taking the credits remotely for college, and they're like, "Oh, no one's done a take about shared universes in movies before."
Yeah. And it had to be over a certain word count. So like, crap, I'll just talk about Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, like they created the problem themselves. Like this isn't a thing that anyone has ever considered.
Yeah.
No one has ever thought that the monster movies, the Universal monster movies, were part of the same universe. No one ever thought that until apparently a year ago. Everyone's saying it now.
That's funny.
Can I pose another question?
Yes.
Why would these creators behind these films, like such as, I'll take the modern example first. Why did they decide on the name The Dark Universe instead of The Monster Mash?
Good question.
I feel like that name would have sold me I would have been like, yes, show me Tom Cruise doing Mission Impossible, but with a mummy. I will
basically.
I will support it because you used the Monster Mash.
Yeah, that would have been a better name. So that started off as a Screen Rant article, but I found a new low. So and this is something I discovered this week. The next article. Did you guys know that there's a site called Game Rant that's owned by Screen Rant?
Oh yeah,
I didn't.
I didn't know this. It's the same company. It's the same company, but they write about games, which will be ironic when you see the next one. But this one is more egregious. The Epic Games Store free game for March 24th is a double-edged sword. If you don't know this, Epic Games is a platform much like Steam where you can buy games digitally. And they're cool because they give out free games like every week. There's like one free game, and it's a new game every week that they're giving out for free.
Yep. Every week I see articles saying, Steam or Epic Games has announced their new free game. And I'm like, it's just, I guess it's easy content, but
yeah. Just wait. First off, it's a free game. Okay, you log in every week, or I think it's every 2 weeks. You get a free video game for nothing. It's free. In the past, they've given away Grand Theft Auto 5. They've given and lots of other. I have lots of free games from Epic Games. Okay, and this week it's a pinball game called Demon's Tilt, which I have now. I own Demon's Tilt. I've never played it. Never played either. Okay. This article just makes me so upset. Okay, pinball is an entertaining genre. However, it's nothing against the title itself. This really isn't the direction Epic Games Store should be moving toward. Demon's Tilt is a pinball game. It's a pinball bullet hell game, and it's an interesting premise for anyone who's interested in pinball games. And it's for free on the Epic Games Store. That's even cooler. The problem with the Epic Games Store offering Demon's Tilt has nothing to do with the game itself, but the service. Choosing indie games that could be hidden gems is great, as someone is likely to find a hidden gem for themselves. But this is a pinball game. As interesting as Demon's Tilt is, it's still a pinball game to the end of the day. And so it's not a big popular genre that many could flock to. It's a particular niche, and that hurts Epic Games Store's quality this week.
How is that different from the run-of-the-mill?
It wouldn't be so bad if this was one of the weeks where Epic Games Store offered more than one game. Which has happened. Sometimes they give out 2 free games. But because this game is just a pinball game, Epic Games Store is stupid for giving it to you for free.
Can I shout out to Games Rant real quick?
Yeah.
I am going and I am giving Epic Games Store my business and downloading Demon's Tilt for free because of how stupid your article
because
is.
It's free. They're complaining about getting free stuff.
Yep.
Because it's not what they wanted. They're wanting the AAA games to be free.
They do that though. They give away.
I
Grand
know.
Theft
I'm
Auto.
just saying, they complain about this for like Xbox. Xbox and PlayStation have their own stuff
Yeah,
too.
but that's a subscription, right?
Right,
You pay
right.
you pay for the Xbox game store, and you
Right,
get
and PlayStation.
so
But
that makes
they
sense.
cry about that one too. Like
but that at least has like a reason, right? They're like, oh, we're paying for the service, and this week there aren't that many good games. I could understand that. It's also silly, but
I'm just using that as a compare. Like people like
yeah.
They just, it's not exactly what they want. They wanted God of War on Epic Game Stores to be free for the PC.
Mm-hmm.
They want the new one to come out to be, free for PC. Epic
You
Games
can buy those
launched
games.
good ones. They've launched a few really good ones that have come out.
Yeah.
And people that are older titles that, obviously these companies aren't making a lot of money on it. They're like, hey, let's get this game out there. Maybe it's a marketing thing, right? It totally is a marketing thing. If anyone thinks that you're getting something for free and it's totally free, you're an idiot. Because if the product is free, the product is you. Right?
I'm pulling up my Epic Games Store. I think I've purchased one game from Epic Games.
Yeah.
These are all of the free games that I've gotten from it. And they do it so often that I forget to log in and I've missed it.
Plague Tale,
Lots
that's a
of
good one.
times.
If you haven't played Plague Tale is a good one.
A Plague Tale is a huge title. Alien Isolation.
That's a good one.
Abizu. These are huge games. Some of the Ark Survival is huge. Some of these are more indie. I got Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3. That one was not free with Epic Games. I got it when I bought my CPU. It came with a free game. This one came for free. Brothers is a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, it's amazing. Celeste, amazing. This is page 1. I haven't paid for any of these games. Grand Theft Auto 5, I got for free. I don't play it, but I got it for free. Still going. Battlefront 2. Jedi Fallen Order. Did I pay for that one? No, I didn't. I got it for free off Epic Games. I actually have 2 copies of that, which I could give away if anyone wants it. Still going. These are all free games. Why are they complaining about getting free stuff?
Exactly. And it's interesting, too, that they say, oh, you could have given out an indie game. It doesn't have to be a AAA title. It could be an indie game.
It is an indie game.
I know. It's like you could be
what they're doing.
Supporting these indie developers, but why a pinball game? It's like, shut up.
At least have the decency to give us 2 games
Because
in the week where you give us a stupid pinball.
Obviously, the person who wrote this didn't grow up. Obviously, the person's under the age of 18, because anyone who is somewhere between 23 and our age is 30. Anyone and that remembers the best Windows pinball game of all time.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah. See,
That was
back
good.
in the days when computers couldn't play games, and they launched that little, what was it, the astronaut pinball game? All of you guys know what I'm talking about.
Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, came with Windows XP. That was great.
Yeah.
But it's so
Epic.
funny. Giving
Epic game. So,
away
quit your-
free games is
quit
a
your
double-edged
whinging.
sword because it's not good enough. What? Okay, so a game rant is just as bad as screen rant. And here's another game rant article. Yes, Birdman is a superhero movie. No, it's not. It's a good movie. It's not a superhero movie. Also, why isn't this article on Screen Rant?
Yeah. It's not a
What
video
does this
game.
have to do with the video games? It's the same company, owned by the same people.
Oh, they borrowed articles on and publish them on like their 3 different websites that they have.
What's the other one, you know?
CBR.com, Comic Book Reporter.
Oh,
Yep.
they've been on the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the same people. No wonder it's garbage.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's what I hate about that website is it's supposed to be like their comic book central. And I do go to there because sometimes they just have straight up headlines that like here's what's coming out like in the next couple months.
and that's when it's useful.
But
Right.
then the rest of it is like this MCU hero just slaughtered the Avengers. And they write it specifically for people who aren't like in the loop who will think, "Oh, was there a new Marvel movie thing?"
They're
that I
just
missed?"
talking about an obscure comic. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's catering to people who MCU fans. Yes.
Yeah.
They do that all the time.
It's-
Like in the comics, this thing happened. Oh, then I don't care. I was like, if you've seen Birdman, it's a great movie. It won the Oscar for Best Picture in 2015. It's a movie about an actor who used to play a superhero and now is washed up and can't get any work, and he puts on a play. And it's about his like inner psyche of like, oh, I used to be a lot more famous and now I'm not. And it's funny because it's Michael Keaton who used to play Batman and now is going to do it again. It's a really good movie. It's not a superhero movie. Game Rant's dumb. We've got so much more. Shall we move on?
Let's keep them going.
Here's another bad take, baby. Game of Thrones, all 8 characters who survived from beginning to end.
Watch the show.
Watch the show.
And also, why would I want that spoiled if I haven't watched it?
If you haven't watched the show, why
Right,
would you?
yeah.
If you haven't watched Game of Thrones, why would you read this? If you've watched Game of Thrones, why would you read this? Okay, so spoilers if you haven't seen Game of Thrones. It gets worse. Let's scroll down. Jon Snow, that's 1 character. Sansa Stark, 2 characters. And Arya, 3. Bran is 4. Tyrion is 5. And Ghost is a character. I guess that's 6. They ran out of characters because number 7 is
Maybe.
Nymeria. Maybe
Another dog.
this other character. Maybe we don't actually know if he made it to the end because he was only in season 1. But there's no proof that he died. And then there's a whole like, here's a list of other people who also made it.
Wow. Well, at least they didn't do something embarrassing like put someone on there who died in the last season or something like that.
I don't think these people have watched the show. I don't think Jordan Williams watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I think she pulled up a Wikipedia article and wrote this because this is the second time Game Rant or Screen Rant has written this article. In 2019.
It just shows how
Game of Thrones, everybody who survived the show, and it's just a list.
Is it the same list?
Yeah, mostly. They include Sam and Grey Worm and Davos, and yeah, more people who could have made your actual top 8 list and not maybes.
It just goes to show how garbage.
Yep.
This is you were right. I think last week is when you said they have to pump out so much content, or they have to have each person, they have to write an article.
Yes.
And this is the epitome of, I don't give a crap about my job. I just have to post an article. So I'm going to just pick up some random topic and then Google it and not even care.
Yeah. Well, they've been caught not watching the things they're writing articles about too. Like
the
with
the Wheel of Time.
Wheel
when
of
they
Time.
sent her wife.
They hadn't read the books or watched the show. It's so funny. And there's more, baby. Here's a good one. This is another double feature. Lord of the Rings.
I read that one.
Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power. Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power makes one Return of the King scene even better.
The show's not out yet.
Any guesses?
How would you know? How would you know this? Here's their reasoning. Calm down. Okay. Here's their reasoning. Because The Rings of Power is a prequel, it will be focused on Isildur, okay, and give him more of a backstory than the books give him. So it will be more of a tragedy. And so the scene where Isildur's heir, Aragorn, shows up at the end, with the ghosts, there will be more context behind the ghost scene.
But whether or not it makes it better remains to be seen.
But I thought, there doesn't need to be any context. They already cleared that up. If you want, they're like,
first off, that scene isn't bad. Everyone they get it. They swore an oath, and now they're fulfilling their oath. That's all you need to know.
I was, man, when Return of the King happened, I was 13 or 14. I had not read the Lord of the Rings books at that time. Lord of the Rings books, I know some people are going to be like, "Oh, I read them when I was 12." Good for you.
I only just barely finished reading them.
They are a very advanced book, and sometimes they are super dull. Like,
it's hard to get to. It's hard. They're hard to get through, but totally worth it.
And the Lord of the Rings trilogy came out when I believe I was 11, 12, 13, or maybe 13, 14, 15, something like that. I hadn't read the books prior to watching the movies. I understood entirely, without question, what the Ghost Army was. So they explained it that well in Return of the King. Like, the whole thing was, you understood it all. There was a whole conversation between Aragorn and Elrond, and then him and the ghosts, and you knew it. So why do they have to? Because of a TV show that is coming 20 years after
that we haven't watched yet.
You are going to understand the scene, and you haven't even watched. Well, shut up.
It's funny. Their entire argument for this is that in the movies, we don't know. The movies don't do a good job of explaining. Sorry, their argument is that the movies don't do a good job of giving Isildur's story, and so we don't understand the context behind the ghost.
That's
army.
like the first 10 minutes of the Fellowship, though.
And you know what's great? I saw this one pop up on my phone, and I went to Google it today so we could pull it up. And guess what the first article to come up was? Not this article.
Uh-oh.
Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies make Isildur better than he was in the books. This is the opposite of the argument that they just made.
Yep.
He literally is the bad guy. Like, he's the whole reason. His failure is the whole reason.
It's a tragic failure.
It's a tragic failure. He's more heroic.
But, like, this is the argument that they were arguing against. They were saying the movies didn't do a good job of showing you Isildur's story. And in this, they're saying the opposite. I hate Screen Rant. But I love this segment.
Stupid. So stupid. I'm sorry. It just is. Like it's just dumb.
Well, they just contradict themselves all the time. And there's one more article, and we're finally going to talk about Halo. Oh, this is fun.
This will be my last one, and then I'm going to have to bounce off of
Okay.
that.
It's not an actual Screen Rant article, and I debated including it because I'm not a huge Halo fan, so I don't know enough about the lore. Oh my goodness, there's ads. The Halo show is nothing like the games, and that's why it's good. The Halo showrunners earned criticism for saying they didn't consider the games, and they were right.
Really? Wow.
They said that. The showrunners said, we didn't look at the game. We haven't played the games.
See,
Wow.
They said, we didn't talk about the game. We didn't look at the game. We talked about the characters in the world, so I never felt limited by it being a game. Then who are you making it for? The people who want to watch the show are the fans of the game.
Exactly.
I haven't watched the show because I haven't played a lot of the games. I played multiplayer all the time because that's what you played at parties.
But apparently,
I never owned Halo as a kid, so I don't know the story.
But apparently, it doesn't matter that you never played the games. You can watch it because they never did either. This is the epitome
You
of
don't
what we're
need the
talking
context.
about. And this is the epitome of what we've been talking about for a long time. Starting with Boba Fett, starting with the people they are putting in charge. Lord of the Rings. The people they are putting in charge of these multi-million-dollar, $10 million, $100 million, up to $1 billion, like with the new Lord of the Rings TV show. I think they've spent something like $1 billion on a couple of seasons.
Lord of the Rings is the most expensive TV show ever.
Right. The people they're putting in charge of it, Star Wars included, with Kathleen Kennedy and whatnot, they don't care about the source material.
Yep.
They don't care about the source material.
And they say it. They say
it. And they're open to admit it. It's like Kathleen Kennedy way back when. I don't care about the former series. We'll make new fans. You've already got $1 billion company, and you just told $1 billion worth of people to shove it. 3 billions, and that's the same thing that's going on. That's the same thing that we did with Boba Fett. People loved it, and the people they put in charge of it crapped all over it. Everyone admits it. The same thing happened with Wheel of Time, people who had never read the books or didn't care about the books or they're the big names, or someone's married to somebody's sister, or somebody's body is in somebody's closet, or vice versa, whatever it is. And we're just going to put you in charge of it without consulting anybody when it comes to the world building, the lore, people they care about. And then they're stunned when the fans they're trying to please, they're stunned when the fans come out and go, this is hot garbage and I'm not buying it. We're not going to make our money back. Oh, no, yeah, because you crapped all over it. And it's blatant to see when someone comes out and says, yeah, we never even played the video games, or we never even talked about the video games. Like, that was never brought into the Halo's Halo because of Halo.
You're absolutely right, but it's worse than that, because they
do it on purpose.
They didn't listen.
It's that they do it on purpose.
Yeah, they did listen to fans of the show. They did have people that they could consult. They had George Lucas. He gave them a bunch of ideas. They had Brandon Sanderson, who finished the Wheel of Time series. They consulted with these people, and
he's talked on his podcast. He mentioned all of the problems. He said, this isn't going to go over well. And those are the problems that did not go over well.
Yep.
Because they kept him in.
It's just they don't listen to the people who are knowledgeable and love this stuff.
You guys want to see some screenshots? This is an actual screenshot from the show. Shout out to Memology 101 is an amazing channel where I get a lot of my news from. I haven't seen the show. This is from the show. There's a small segment where it goes like first person shooter.
That looks like a bad cutscene or something.
It looks worse than the video games.
Yeah, what is that?
There's a scene where they forgot to put in the CGI gun, and the character is holding a wooden or cardboard one.
Oh man.
Or
This
a
is
3D
this isn't
printed
Master
one,
Chief.
yeah.
This is not Master Chief. This is another Spartan. Yeah, he's holding their unfinished prop, and here's a good example of the CGI in motion. How bad it looks.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
There's
There's no shadows on that thing. What? Oh my gosh!
So that's the show.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah,
You know
I'm
why
still-
this is? This is because going back to Game of Thrones season 8, the whole Starbucks coffee cup disaster, the coffee cup on the table. They've realized what people will put up with and what we will put up with, and it's been like, if it looks like crap, it's it's one thing, we don't care, and it's just going to just keep downhill and downhill and downhill. I mean, that's garbage to look at. Like, you'd think the actor himself, the Spartan actor, would be like, guys, this is unfinished. I'm not doing my job without.
They also
At least paint it black.
The
Or something.
actors are long gone by the time they put in all the CGI stuff.
That's true.
He doesn't get to see that.
They also showed his face. It's pretty controversial. They pulled off
Showed Master Chief's
What?
face.
Master Chief's face. Yeah.
Really?
To introduce a more human element. Also, Master Chief is not the main character of the show.
But see,
It's about a female character. It's her story, and Master Chief is just in it.
The point of Halo, I'm fine with Master Chief not being the main character. The point of Halo and the point of him, you never seeing Master Chief's face, is because the creators said specifically, we want you to feel that you are Master Chief. We want you to feel like you are the character, and that's why his face isn't. Because once we show his face, everything's blown up. He doesn't look like me. The second you become Master Chief, that was the whole point. Like, again, they don't give a crap about their source material. They don't care about the vision. It's just a greedy hand grab, and it's disgusting to see.
Well, in the perfect segue, it's even worse than that, Corwin. They're using these franchises as platforms. They don't care about the story. They're using them as platforms to push their narrative, which is why I have a big problem with Star Trek Discovery. I hate to bring it up again, Jared, but I have video evidence to show you this time, as to why Star Trek Discovery is so bad for Star Trek. But I need a second to get it ready. So, Corwin, since you have to go, if you want to tell us how you thought, what you felt about Raised by Wolves episodes 4 and 5, while I do this, let us know.
I was a little disappointed in a few of the things. I don't want to get into it because it's going to be a big discussion, and you guys are going to talk about it. But there was a few things on the last episode, on episode 5, that I was a little disappointed with. I'd already watched episode 4 last week. I'd already gotten to that point, and I think you said you guys were catching up, and so I didn't say anything. And then you guys are going to go more into detail, and I'm sure maybe one or two of you are going to have the same thing. But on episode 5, I was a little disappointed in a few of the things that happened, but overall it's still good. Overall, I still enjoy the show. I'm still going to watch the show. Again, your non-TV friend watching the show is a big deal. I know I've said that multiple times, but that's just my personality. So I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to enjoy it. It's still going to be fun. It's going where I want it to go, as far as making me think and me just enjoying the entertainment. It's holding my entertainment, even with the disappointment that happened. But I'm good with it. I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna.
I'm glad you're liking it. What was your biggest disappointment?
I'm gonna just have to come back when you guys talk about this. Let me go fix dinner, and I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Well,
was it in 4 or 5?
5.
Okay.
All right. Well, go make dinner and come back, because I've got to show Jared why Star Trek is bad.
Peace.
All right. We'll see you shortly.
Star Wars rules. Star Trek rules.
That's right.
Screen. Okay, there might be some. Last time I tried to do this and share my system audio, there was an echo. So when I'm
gonna
sharing
do
my screen, what?
Do a Kirk double hand punch real quick while you're.
Okay. So this goes hand in fist, but this is a perfect segue because we were just talking about how bad it is with Halo. With Star Trek, they've straight up said they don't care about the fans. Alex Kurtzman is the showrunner for all of Star Trek right now. He is the Kevin Feige, right, of Star Trek. And in an interview, I believe it was 2002. Let me pull it up. Yes, sorry, 2002, 2020, in the San Diego Comic-Con virtual event, talking about Star Trek. He had this to say about all of Star Trek. They don't care about the fans. They're using he straight up says they use Star Trek as a platform to spread their message. Here we go. Maybe try not to talk because there might be an echo. This is him. This is Alex Kurtzman. This is what let me know if you can hear it though.
I want to go back to what we were just talking about again.
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is pulled straight from the Comic-Con panel.
I want to go back to what we were just talking about again, because, let's be honest, we're doing Comic-Con at home, but we're all living here in this world. And, obviously the coronavirus is keeping us apart from each other this year, but there's a lot of other things going on in this country and around the world. And sometimes I feel like art can speak to some of those issues, perhaps even more than politics can, specifically when we talk about Star Trek, inclusion, diversity, outreach. I wanted to know what you guys think about the message of Star Trek in the America and in the world that we're living in today.
I think we're all so proud to be working on a show that has a message that really matters and really resonates. I think anyone who does what they do on this side of the camera, on the other side of the camera, is hoping to say something. And I think what's great when you're working on genre is you often get to say things about current events and mask them so they don't feel like medicine or that you're being taught something. And I think in the case of Star Trek, thematically, it's just been baked into what Star Trek is about: a better hope, about equality, gender equality, racial equality, sexual equality. I mean, it's what it is.
And we've seen in the past few weeks that we've seen on the Star Trek social media platforms, hashtag Star Trek United. Alex, can you give us a sense about what that is telling us?
Star Trek, really, since its inception, has always it's endeavored to speak to the vision that we are all fortunate enough to live in every day. It's unfortunately not the vision that the rest of the world is living in, but we live in this perfect world where, as Heather said, everybody really is united, and a lot of the differences that are dividing us these days are gone. So Star Trek United is an effort to bring awareness to many of the organizations that are critical right now. Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, a lot of our cast speaking to that, Star Trek speaking to it. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these very, very important messages and places.
Well, that's a very worthy use of a very powerful platform. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Alex, for joining us today.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Sorry, I forgot to preface that there was the other person talking too, but he straight up says it. Our goal was not to promote Star Trek.
Alan, he's talking about the hashtag, not the show. The Star Trek United hashtag is what they're referring to in that segment. That the hashtag is meant to promote those extra the political movements that they're involved with, not the show. They're not saying
he said the same thing about the show though. He's saying that they're using it as a platform.
Okay, but your evidence, the critical piece there is wrong, because you said he straight up says they're not, like, the way I understood it, they're using the hashtag, not the show. Well, I mean, yes, they're using the show to communicate these ideas, which Star Trek has done since its inception.
Yes.
But when he says
to make you think about ideas, yes.
Yeah, but
you prefacing this, you said he straight up says they don't care about the fans; they just care about the message. And that segment, he's talking about the Star Trek
The
United
hashtag itself.
hashtag. Not
Have you watched the show though?
He
No,
talks
I
about the
haven't.
hashtag the second half of the clip, but the first half of the clip, he was talking specifically about the show itself.
Yeah, I know in that segment he's referring, the hashtag was used to promote those ideas, but he says they're using the Star Trek platform to do it, and that's not what it's for.
Right.
If you've seen the old Star Trek and if you've watched Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek used to be a show where they would make you think about ideas. That they present, a controversial topic and show you both sides and say, "Oh, this is a conundrum," and it would make you think. In the episodes of Star Trek Discovery, they tell you how to think.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. For example, this last season was basically, it's all about this this big like planet destroying machine that's destroying planets, right? And so
A Death Star?
No, it's
Star
not a
Killer?
Death Star. I don't want to spoil anything at the
Yeah.
same time, right? But I'm like, so it's this planet destroying machine that's kind of wreaking havoc on the universe, and it's destroying, all these planets that people are from. And so it goes into like these characters that says, look, like, first off, how does this, how should you react if something like that were to happen? And then it also kind of explores and says, hey, look, like, it basically from there on, it kind of goes back into this discovery of saying, okay, like as Star Trek, we're there to explore, we're there to, find new races and new people and new planets, right? And so what happens with that first contact? So so it basically comes down to the fact that they find out that someone has been creating these planet destroying occurrences.
Yeah.
So then they say, okay, well, now it's a first contact mission. Like, how do we go about that? Is it better to say, hey, you killed all of these people, all of these planets, we're going to, hurt you guys? Or, should it be a peaceful approach or whatnot? And then there's other people in the cast that say, hey, that were affected by those planets that have been destroyed. And they're looking at it totally different than the people that necessarily haven't been affected yet, right? So it does definitely, I would say, at least in this last season, it has more of that vibe where it's more of
better.
It's gotten better. I mean, the first seasons I really liked because it was, you get the whole Vulcan stuff, like live long and prosper. There's a lot of like time traveling stuff and like, oh, what does this mean for time travel? And it maybe didn't feel quite as like Star Trek-y where they're going to new planets and they're encountering new species and all of this stuff. But I felt like this season was definitely more focused on that, where they were finding new species.
I have not watched the newest season. I couldn't stay with it.
But I will say as well that they definitely,
it's a pretty big
have
contrast
those
though. There's when you watch the episodes, like they take a side, right? It's not off frequently. There may be examples where they present a conundrum, but it's almost always they tell you how to think instead of making you think.
Well, there's definitely a lot of messages, about like homosexuality and those sorts of relationships, and okay, what does it really mean if like, for example, there's this whole thing about this girl, but she has a ton of past lives that are connected to her, and so one of them's like a dude, and so the way that they dress is very different, right? So she dresses very masculine, but the dude dresses very like feminine. So there's definitely these sort of overarching things that you can see within the message where it's clearly trying to sort of portray that idea where it's, hey, we're trying to be accepting to everybody, and things like that. But I think it's, what was that, Dave?
It sounds confusing.
Yeah, like, that was definitely more of these later seasons where they introduced that character. But I feel like in the general, but I mean, but it always comes back to the same sort of idea where they're trying to do the right thing, right? They're trying to be true to somebody, or they're trying to be true to who they are, or whatnot. So
I did not enjoy it, and I stopped watching.
how far did you get though?
I don't even remember. It was a while ago. But I don't even think I finished season 1.
Yeah,
I just got too fed up with how different it was.
Yeah, it's definitely like thinking. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the first season, but I don't know. Something drew me into it.
And I've seen the clips of the Lower Decks, which that's the lady who was talking in the clip. She's the one responsible for that.
Yeah.
Lower Decks is weird.
The Lower Decks is gross. There's an episode with an orgy.
Yeah, that's not Star Trek.
Yeah,
that's definitely not Star Trek.
That's them trying to do Rick and Morty.
It's written by an ex Rick and Morty writer, but like that's not Star Trek's not the place for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Rick and Morty's great, but it's not Star Trek.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with your sort of idea that you should be taking more from the source material, because that really is what people love about Star Trek. So to attach the name Star Trek to something, you expect them to be loyal to what Star Trek is, right? And so I definitely agree with that you want to try to take more from the source material and make it, because that's the thing, like Star Trek is good. And we loved Star Trek because it was what we grew up on, right? And the storytelling was great, and there was definitely all of these sort of moral and ethical concerns that would come up and such,
philosophy,
right? Yeah, philosophy. But that is very much the culture of that era as well, right? Like that was very much sort of the 70s and 80s, where it was more of like that's what TV was. Like, for example, the Twilight Zone, right? It was all about philosophy and trying to think, oh, well, what about this reality, or what if this was a reality, right? Like, so I think generally that's kind of what it was for that era. But also with that, Star Trek, if you were to simply take those same those same scripts and just update them with today's technology, I think they could be very good. They can kind of seem bland because of the tone that's being used in some of them, right? But
I don't think you need to do that. I think if they were if they just honored the spirit more, that you could still have good Star Trek. You could like, and it's proven by Raised by Wolves, you can have a modern show that doesn't tell you what the message is. It makes you think about what the purpose is.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's lots of religious and philosophical undertones to Raised by Wolves, but it doesn't preach at you and say one is right and one is wrong. That's what I really like about it, is all the clash of ideas and cultures and
Well, I think the thing that's drawn me into it, to be honest, is, I mean, I think there's some good messages that they do share, because they are trying to be inclusive and stuff like that. But at the same time, I've always really liked Star Trek because of the cool technology too, right? Like, how they incorporate that.
Have you watched the Orville?
The Ortho?
The Orville.
Orville.
Oh no, I haven't.
The Orville's really good.
The Orville is the Family Guy creator, Seth MacFarlane, almost was in charge of the new Star Trek, but they decided not to give it to him and go with Alex Kurtzman instead. And he wanted to direct Star Trek so much that he said, "I'm just going to make my own Star Trek." The Orville is a Star Trek parody. Watch it. It's incredible. It feels more like Star Trek than Star Trek does.
Okay.
They bring up really poignant discussions. There's a wonderful episode where they talk about transgenderism. There's a whole race of of aliens that are only men, and if any of them are born female, they go through a reconstructive surgery to turn them into men, and it's fascinating. It's a really good discussion.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, it's just so sad because seeing the state of Star Trek right now and seeing that it still can be done well. And it's so funny because the Orville is a comedy, which quickly transitioned into something just completely different.
Yeah, it's a satire of Star Trek, but it's
more Star Trek than Star Trek is.
Yeah, exactly. It's
that's
like
Galaxy
Quest. It's on the level of Galaxy Quest, but then it became its own thing. Galaxy Quest was a satire of Star Trek too, but it developed its own world and it was amazing in its own right. But it still kind of stays more campy, satirical, and the Orville kind of.
It's incredible. I love the Orville, and season 3 should be coming out very soon, and I'm very excited.
I'm really excited for it. There is one episode of Orville though that's kind of cringy.
Which one?
The one that's very similar to the Tchaikovsky Lower Decks situation.
There's an episode, if I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
one of the characters basically uses the holodeck.
Oh yeah,
as immersive, and I don't know if
no, that's not the one I'm talking about. That one was that one wasn't comfortable, but
edgy,
it was good,
and it's okay because it's not Star Trek. It's supposed to be a funny show, but
it still ended. He basically uses the holodeck for
pornography,
self-enjoyment purposes.
Right. But I still like that because it wasn't like full on nudity, but it still had a commentary about it.
Yeah, and it talked about addiction and the fact that
that was great. It was a really good episode,
and that his actions affected other people. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that was a wonderful episode. The episode I'm talking about is the one with was it Matt Rowe from Parks and Rec? Was that alien? And he shows up, and he's excreting these juices that turns everybody into horn dogs. Yeah,
I haven't watched it in a while, so I don't.
That one was pretty cringy.
That one. It's great though because it's got. I really like the Orville, and I did not like Discovery, and I was getting my Star Trek pill enough from the Orville that I just I don't need Star Trek anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we move on to the topic of the day? It's been
let's actually talk about Raised by Wolves.
What are you talking about? I thought that's why we were doing this one, to talk about this stuff.
Well, I made a good segue. I made a good segue into Raised by Wolves, but then we breezed right past it.
Yeah.
And it's also got Norm Macdonald, the Orville. So.
Who does Norm Macdonald play?
He's one of the best. He just died recently.
No, I know who he is, but who does he play?
He plays the Blob.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, what I absolutely love Norm Macdonald. But yeah, Raised by Wolves, episodes 4 and 5. Let's finally talk about them.
I'm gonna need some help remembering because I was halfway into a food coma while I was watching those. I got some barbecue because I had a really hard week at work, and so I was like, I'm eating good tonight. So I had a pint of mac and cheese and brisket and ribs, and I was like groggy. So you might need to help me.
L&L, is that or
Bam Bams?
Bam Bams, yeah, okay.
Oh, Bam Bam's good.
If you're in the Utah Valley area, go to Bam Bam's Barbecue. They are my favorite barbecue place. Where I live.
I was like R&R too, but I mean, we're taking
L&L's a Hawaiian place. I don't know why I said that. I meant R&R.
R&R is good. Mobetta?
I make a mistake.
Mobetta's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, Mobetta is not as better as Sweets. So
if you are in Provo, Utah,
Sweets.
Go to Sweets,
Sweets,
Hawaiian
Sweets,
restaurant.
Sweets. It is the best Hawaiian.
So good.
And on Saturdays you can get an ahi tuna bowl. Just Saturdays. No,
like every 2 weeks, Alan and I we're in a D&D group, and we get together every 2 weeks. Pretty much, it's we send our orders to one person, and we get takeout from that restaurant because it's so good.
Okay, so Raised by Wolves is almost as good as Barbecue. Episode 4 picks
Flawless
up
transition.
Episode 4 picks up Tanner with Paul hanging over the pit.
Yes, and then she T-poses and catches
she T-poses and saves him as he falls.
Okay, I think I've got my thoughts on
she goes to save him, and she also finds that stasis pod from the crashed Mithraic ship.
Yes, but it's episode 5 that she uses it again, right?
No, she uses it.
Oh no, she uses it in this one too.
She uses it in both episodes. Yes,
right.
It's episode 5 where you get more her backstory.
The backstory.
Are we going chronologically, or are we talking?
We can. It doesn't matter. We can talk about it however you want.
No, so the stasis pod. I mean, one of the bigger themes is the role of religion in a society, and I just think it is fascinating that the atheistic androids are having prophet-like dreams and revelations via this stasis pod, by like unlocking memories and seeing things. And just the fact, like, they could have kept it, like, oh, she's just seeing memories. But I like the way that the stasis pod works, where it's like, this is not meant for android use. And I could have sworn a few of those moments in the flashbacks, present mother, like, it felt like she could almost see the mother that was reviewing those memories. Which, like, if you take this from like a metaphysical spiritual thing, that's very like revelation, God giving a vision-esque. But also it works for the technology, because she would, like, if she's accessing her own memories, I guess I have to wait and see if time travel is a thing in the universe, because
not that I know of. In season 2 as well. I don't think time travel is a factor. It could be. I doubt it.
Yeah. And then also the other thing thematically that goes with that is Caleb manipulating the Mithrians. Is that how
Mithraians?
The Mithraians using the religion to accomplish his own goals. When, I mean, like, can you blame him? Because the other dude that was leading was also
is the worst.
Yeah, he was also doing his own thing to kind of keep himself in power and stasis. And like, he was kind of coming on to Caleb's wife, I felt like. And it was like, okay, this dude, like.
Yep, and he's got his androids, personal assistants that we know what he uses them for. But
did you guys notice? Sorry, say your thing.
Go ahead. No.
Did you notice in the beginning of episode 4 when the Mithraic peoples find the temple,
the dodecahedron? Yeah.
Yes. And I have it written down. They say when they see it, they say you'll know them by their shape and their number. The temples in the Holy Land where Sol hid the answers to the Mithraic mysteries. It's also the number 5, which is so it's both. It's prevalent in both the Mithraic and the atheist.
Yeah, I did.
Kind of religion.
Yeah.
So
that's good. I really liked. Was it in episode 4 that they were talking about not knowing that specific
Song.
scripture?
Not a scripture, a children's song. The sun is sunk, the shadowy night is reigning in your room. We pray to Sol, his saving light, to guide us through the gloom.
I thought that was really good. They're like, she was scared that she was going to be found out because she didn't know.
Is that from the scriptures? It's like, no, it's a kid's song. So she must find out. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, they use their blind faith, I guess you could say, against them in turning them against their leader. And, now Caleb's the new leader, and he's going to send them off to save their kids. I just thought that was really good. I do have one small complaint about these 2 episodes here. So in episode 4, what we finally learned, she says to Campion or someone else, I don't remember exactly who Mother says it to, but she says the powers I possess have only now come to light. Yes. And so this is where it finally made sense why she hadn't gone before and flown down to get that life pod or
I said
any of the other things. I know that, but back when we talked about episode 1, I was so frustrated about why she didn't do that.
Because she didn't know that she could fly.
But why are we only finding out that she couldn't do that till episode 4?
Because it showed her in episode 1 figuring out she can fly.
She didn't figure it out. She just immediately T-poses and goes flying off.
No, there was a line back in episode 1 too where they said, I didn't know that I could do that.
When they're doing the face mimicking stuff. Yeah, you're right. But it's just a little bit annoying to me that you have to wait till episode 4 to see that she doesn't know that she has all these powers.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. But at the time when I watched episode 1 and 2, I was just really upset that she hadn't used her powers to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, now it makes sense, but it's still frustrating they didn't set that up from the get-go.
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the show didn't hold your hand enough.
Doesn't have to hold my hand. It's just annoying when there's obvious choices that could be made that aren't being made.
I followed it fine my first watch through. It makes even more sense the second time. It's actually, I've been loving rewatching the show.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to analyze it more. I'm trying to find clues. The first time you watch it for the experience, and the second time I'm like writing stuff, and I'm like, I really hope. I'm trying to figure out where the show's going now. Rewatching it.
So it's kind of like reading the King Killers.
Oh, it's even better. It's even better the second time through. And there's stuff, especially in these 2 episodes, that I have a huge theory about, and we can't talk about it until you guys watch season 2. So
nice. Speaking of King Killer, I'm about a third of the way through.
Nice.
First book, so. Yeah.
Did you guys like the pizza? I thought that was a fun touch. Campion is looking for alternative food sources because he doesn't want to have to kill the beast. And they find those tree nuts, and he's like, "What should we call this? What was that food that everyone liked on Earth? Pizza. Let's call it pizza." It was fun.
Yeah, that was funny. Although, again, it's a little bit silly that they didn't, go and find those berries before. They're just now finding, there's berries on these trees, and then the next episode,
necessity.
Fungus.
Necessity is the root of invention. They had food before, so they need to.
Sure. No. But they just got to this new alien world. You feel like they go out and explore and forage and find out what's available to them.
Sure, I'll give you that. They could have been doing. I feel like
definitely.
I think that they did, but it's just not shown here. And I think that they were kind of just humoring Campion.
They didn't find the tree nuts, and they didn't find the fungus, and it's just.
I think that can lead to the question of how human are these androids, because we we as humans have a natural inclination to be like, yo, this stuff we're growing doesn't taste.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Maybe we can go find something else. Let's just go exploring for fun.
But it's a practical choice. Like we don't need more.
The androids are like, we have this mission and we need to do certain things to ensure the survival of the human race. And it is almost clinical and computer-like that they're like, okay, we need to establish a food source. What food source can we find? We have found a food source. Can we farm it? Yes. Let us begin farming this food source. And then
like that makes sense, but wouldn't they get a whole bunch of food sources and analyze them for the best nutritional value? You know, and then I realized that they found out later that the potatoes or whatever that they were growing were radioactive, the seeds of it or whatever. And that's understandable that they didn't know that at first, because they said it's only radioactive after you pick it. Then the radioactive isotopes leak out or whatever they said. But, you know, it's just a little bit silly that they didn't go out and find all the food sources in the area and analyze them for the best nutritional value and say, okay, we have this and this and this, and these are options. And then,
I'll give you that. There are a few times where I think like, oh, they probably should have, because they mention the tropical zone,
right?
And they have an excuse to not go there now because of the pregnancy, but they could have found
monsters that are there. Yeah,
they could have gone there earlier. There are a few moments where I'm like, okay, sure, they didn't. Yeah, there's a small flaw, which I'm
not a huge issue, but I gotta point them out. I gotta point out issues when I see them.
You got one thing right. Good job. Do you know what this is asking? If you like fives, have you seen where the heart is? What's your wife talking about?
I'm not. There's a movie Where the Heart Is. It's like a pioneer, old Western love story. Is that?
You're talking about the android hearts, because they pulled those out in the show.
I don't know what fives has to do with Where the Heart Is. There's like 12 of those movies.
It's a movie. Okay, yeah, we didn't get the reference. Oh, there's a beautiful line right after the pizza stuff. She doesn't like fives in the movie. Okay, great. I probably won't watch it.
The first one in the series is good.
There's a series of where the heart is.
Yeah, the first one, Where the Heart Is really good. And then there's Love Comes Softly is the first one.
What?
Where's the Heart Is? I haven't
heard of any.
Where the Heart Is, I just googled it. It's a 2000 film starring Natalie Portman, who plays a pregnant 17-year-old girl who gets ditched by her boyfriend.
Oh my goodness, no, that's an awful movie, Martina. I'm sorry. I love Natalie Portman.
That's not the one.
No,
it's a different one.
No, she typed no, it's not that what you guys were talking about, the Pioneer thing.
It's this terrible movie with Natalie Portman, and I watched it because I like Natalie Portman. And she is pregnant, and she hauls up in a Walmart and gives birth in a Walmart, and that's the movie, and it's really bad.
She doesn't like fives. Cool story. So anyway, do you guys
Sorry,
love
Martina, I love you, but that movie
Raised by Wolves? Father is by far my favorite character. Every line of dialogue that he has is just fantastic, and he has an amazing line in this when he's trying to get the kids to kill the beast.
Yeah.
And one of the girls, whose name I can't remember, stabs it, and then they all freak out and run away. And he just nonchalantly closes the door. Well, it is a good thing that you are not intelligent. Death can be very unpleasant when you are intelligent. I died once, and like I love that line. Like, well, it's a good thing you're stupid, because you don't understand that you're dying. Like,
yeah, yeah. But I love Father's. I guess mission. In here is to he realized that he and Mother might not last forever. They're gonna malfunction and die someday. So he's trying to teach them to, fend for themselves and to,
if you noticed, Father is always making really practical decisions, and Mother is making emotional decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which the reason for that was very much revealed in episode 5.
She's programmed to have emotions.
Yes.
Or or
Crazy.
learn how to have emotions.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
thought that's why I kept saying episode 5 is where it all kind of comes together. You get a lot of answers to questions that have been presented in the series. I thought anyway.
But I love it. The father's like, "Well, you got to stop babying him, or you know, it's like that's so good."
Yeah.
But before you get that reveal, you get which in episode 4 when she goes into VR, you get a flashback from not from Earth but from Kepler 22, and it shows the kids growing up a little bit and the embryos, what happened to those. Which I think is a brilliant scene, because at first you think, oh, freaking Campion, he's the worst, but he's just protecting his younger siblings who accidentally melted the snowballs. It's just beautiful, and he didn't want him to know what it actually was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
was pretty terrible. I also think, too, in episode 4, you find out that the pregnant girl kills the monster alien thing, and then you find out that it was pregnant too.
Oh, what the ending of episode 4 is like, it had a baby inside it. I love that.
Well, yeah, because you just see her eating it, right? So she like starts to devour it, and then the next thing you see with her is her just like curled up because she's like, oh, what did I do?
I love this. The show makes you feel things.
I don't. I
think. Go ahead, Tanner.
You didn't. Yeah.
You didn't feel things.
No,
you didn't like seeing a dead baby.
But no, I may just be reading into it too much. But with Father talking to the thing and saying it's a good thing you're not intelligent, and then kind of that humanizing moment where you find the embryo. I mean, and I can tell just by the way you're smiling, Alan, there's more to those creatures than they're letting on right now from the get-go.
Yeah. Like I said, they give
don't
me
know what
vibes.
You mean.
Yeah. And like the fact that there is that. So like, I'm just trying to figure out how these prophecies that the Netherians are bringing to this planet from Earth,
Got to do me like that.
What's going on?
It's a wolf world out there. Oh, she's trolling you. She's trolling you.
Yeah.
The title.
Love you, babe.
Yes, I mean the show is hinting that there's more to these things than we know yet, or than you know yet.
Yes.
And that that line that you re-pointed out made me realize something that is actually very important for later. It's a good thing that they are unintelligent.
One more thing too. I don't remember if it's in episode 4 or 5, but I think it's across both of them. But it seems like again, I'm fascinated with these the atheists' respect for life and for child rearing, right?
Uh-huh.
But it's almost like to an extreme. You kind of get the vibe that because this child is pregnant, her life doesn't. She's not important as that child. That child is the priority,
right? And
you kind of get that vibe from mothers, like, "Hey, look, your responsibility is to care for this child," and it's almost like,
well, you know that is the mother's first priority, is to help with life. So yes, she does. She cares more about the baby than
exactly.
Yep. There's so many names. I can't remember. Tempest is the pregnant.
Tempest, yeah.
Does this show have a Soylent Green moment? That's a good question.
Well, they do eat the monster.
They do eat the monster.
They're kind of. Some of them don't want to because it.
I won't say it's a Soylent Green moment, no. But keep watching.
Yeah.
No. Let's move on.
All right.
Yeah.
We're done talking about episode 4 because now we can get into 5.
Yeah. But also they keep seeing Tally show up.
Yes.
Yes.
Good girl.
Yes.
You got the sand person. You got the Fremen. That we get that in episode.
The Fremen
5.
Tusken Raiders. Yep.
Yeah.
The guy in burlap. I have him in my notes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him the Fremen.
Yeah. So she cuts out the trackers, and then the Fremen finds the trackers. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a twist, because I thought they were just gonna find him in a crack, and then
like a necklace or something, right? Or
there's something else here. But I love the line that the little girl says when they're eating. Which part is the baby?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and it brings like an interesting discussion. She's like, well, she wouldn't have cooked up the baby, and they're like, yeah, she would. She's not going to waste valuable resources. She's a robot. Like, oh, I love it.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Another quote I really liked when it's mother talking to father, and he says, look, I'm trying to fulfill my programming, and I'm just trying to make you and the kids happy. And she's like, we are robots. We're not human. True happiness is not an achievable goal. And his response is, well, perhaps it is a symptom of my inadequacy, but I believe that it is. Oh, I love father so much.
That was good. Yeah.
Then then they find you meet the rapist. That's
yes.
Soul commanded him to be fruitful, apparently.
So cringy.
I love his design though.
Yeah, and his voice too is so good.
It's
just like gives you shivers down your spine. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Burlapian for the that's a good name, the Fremen. What episode 5?
Yeah,
they find moss, so they find a food source. There's more Tally. Mother sees Tally this time. In episode 4, it was just father that saw Tally, and he thought he was. And you notice he didn't tell Mother that because he clearly thought something was wrong, but he didn't want to say it because then he'd get deactivated again. But then Mother sees Tally this time, which leads her back to the VR thing, and she says, "I'm in here. I'm in the VR thing. I miss you." You hear her voice. And
that was interesting. Where it like drew her back from the experience that she was having, like through the memory, right? So she was in the memory, and then the owner's like, "Hey, you got to get out of this,"
because Tempest is trying to kill herself.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the VR part though? The flashback to you meet Campion Sturgis.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because they set that up too. They called Campion after their creator, right?
I love that they call him their creator because it makes it more religious.
Yeah, it's great.
There was a line after that I'd like to point out.
Yeah,
that Mother says she talks about how she's giving thanks to their creator, and Father's like, we're not supposed to have faith, and she says, he's a real person.
Oh yes, I love that line.
Yeah,
you don't need faith to believe in a real person.
Yeah.
Right. And then this scene brings it all full circle, and you realize that he's not, exactly who he's been made out to be. He reprogrammed this necromancer droid, to go to this planet and to care for some children and bring them up and restart humanity.
So,
but
talking about dead babies from the last episode.
Goodness, that scene.
That is my favorite scene in the episode when he hands him the baby. Oh, it's a baby. Wait, it's a Mithray, or
it's an atheist?
It's an atheist baby.
I got so nervous because I would not have put it past them to make it that this guy was cold-hearted enough
to have it be a real
test
baby.
real babies.
Well, yeah, it's great because it's great that you think that. You're like, I don't it because I'm glad it was a robot, but also it could have not been a robot, and it would have been a practical it's crazy.
Can I talk about some of the connections I've made as we've been talking about this?
Please.
Yeah, you're
of course not.
We have kind of just more religious connections and imagery and ideas. Immaculate Conception. The mother is given the embryos from God in order to bring them
from her creator. Yeah.
Yes, from her creator. And then the fact that Campion, the only surviving child, well, I mean, maybe the other girl who is out and about, he is named after the creator.
The son,
and certain religious beliefs are that Christ was God in the flesh. They're the same.
He's kind of the Jesus, yes.
Yeah, they're the same person, which makes me wonder if Campion made genetic clones of himself, and like that's maybe what young Campion is, because we have this thing. It was like, I don't know my parents and blah 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 blah. But I just think making those religious connections is really giving me some fun stuff.
I don't know if it's said who the parents of the babies are yet. It could be that Campion participated in them, but I think he just grabbed embryos from atheists and put them on the ark.
Yeah. So I mean, highly possible, but the possibility.
Yeah, no, I mean the imagery is there for sure.
Yeah,
I like how when she T-poses, it's the crucifix.
Yeah, I wasn't trying that one. It's a little obvious, but
yeah, it's fun.
There was also in the episode where we learned where we learned that Caleb and what's his wife's name?
I think her original name is like Mary, but her new name is Sue, and his new name is Marcus.
Mary Sue.
They go by Marcus and Sue more often than they do their other names, so that's how I remember them. I think it's like Marie or something.
Okay, so when they are when we see that episode where they're on Earth, they do go into a building that has some of the religious iconography in a painting. I'd like to go back and see that, but I thought I saw something that looked like St. Peter being crucified upside down.
You did.
Yeah. And so I would love to kind of learn more about, if they are coming from Earth, how did this religion come about? I think it's a good concept.
Yeah. It hasn't explained where Mithraism comes about yet. My headcanon is that this is our Earth, and that Mithraism is like the religion that wins. Like all of the other religions merge into Mithras.
Yes,
that's kind of what I was thinking.
We all kind of had bits of it right, but we all kind of know that Sol is the real god now.
Yes, and I mean you have some very Catholic imagery in the costumes and the priests on the ark in that same episode where they are getting on, kind of the long robes and like kind of old.
Yeah, the welcome messenger guy. We will pray. We will pray, and we will seek absolution of our sins on the road to the promised land. What were you saying about him?
Yeah,
no, just it's very like taking ideas from different places, and I don't know. I'm a sucker for religious ideas in media, and
yeah. One of my favorite things is with all these, fantasy worlds and just exploring their, their deity and their like curse words and stuff like that. Like for example, in Mistborn, if you've read to the end of the first trilogy, and then you read Wax and Wane, it's like a different era.
Their
you pick
swears
up some
change.
things. Yeah, their swears change and stuff, and they reference things that happen in the original Mistborn trilogy as their religion, and it's just beautiful world building. I love that stuff.
I agree. One thing too that I was just thinking about was the part where, so it's interesting to kind of see these religions and how the previous leader of the myth race,
the one who gets burned to death. I love that image too.
Well, it's interesting because it's just interesting to think about their approach to religion, right? Because literally, it was basically them coming to this temple, and then they're like, "Oh, something's going to happen to open this up. We just have to wait for it to open up, or like we have to find a way to open it up." Right. And there's also this whole thing about how it was warm to the touch, and then it like was cold. Right. So like, what does that have to do with, this whole sort of philosophy and how it plays into the religion, especially since they burned the guy alive. It was warm to the touch again. So is it like it just absorbs heat, or is it more of a thing where it is based off of actions that are done or whatnot? But it's interesting to see. Sorry. So what I was going with that is that like the previous leader, he's kind of just like, hey, let's sit and we'll watch and see how this turn plays out. Whereas Marcus, when he becomes the leader, he's like, hey, like, let's get things done. Like, we got to go. We got to make sure that we're acting for ourselves. And we're like, which is interesting because he's actually an atheist, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how
it's so good that, he's made himself the leader of this religious cult, but he doesn't care about the religion, right? At least, maybe he
did hear a voice.
He did hear those voices, right? So he may, start to believe or whatnot. But right now, he doesn't care about the religion, right? He doesn't care about, punishing this rapist. He just, he's just thinking practically, and he's got to go and save his kids.
I love the rationale he gives. He's like, well, do you guys want to fight? Do you guys want to fight the necromancer? We can use him. We can use this guy to do it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. And of course, there's going to be a reunion with the girl he raped, so there can be some drama. But I mean, yeah, I just I really like Marcus's. I don't know. I guess his
character.
I don't know. His character, his arc is just really interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
It goes places.
Yeah.
I was on the verge of saying he's one of my favorite characters in
hands down. Yeah.
Any media I've seen in a couple of years.
He's really good. I like him that much. Him and Father are the standout characters in my mind.
Then something happened at the end of the episode, and it weirded me out. And now I'm not sure how much I like it.
Yeah, there's that weird part. I think that's probably what Corwin had some beef about.
Remind me what was this part again?
So they get to the snake, and they get ready to camp for the night, and he's talking to his wife, and she's like,
they have some segs.
You're a good man. Now do me like a great man. And then I was like, okay, all right, whatever. But then, then she's covered in blood, and
he's stabbed her with the scalpel that Mother makes out of the Mithraic symbols.
Yeah, that's right.
That? Yeah, and which he hasn't seen. Yes, it's the same. Yeah. It's the scalpel.
So, that could be symbolic. It could be that.
And he starts tripping balls, and the
snake's moving above him.
Honestly, did not catch that because we skipped through this scene.
It doesn't show any nudity.
I didn't know that it wasn't going to show any nudity. Though.
I promised you the show is not nudity.
Okay.
But they do. You do see some Mortar
action.
and pestle. I'll say it that way.
You see some midriff?
No, the action of
grinding.
I got,
yeah.
I got mortar. I got mortar.
I want you to be able to use
see some mortar and pestle.
I think that's an apt analogy.
I don't.
I knew what you meant immediately.
Yeah, that was great.
Just in case, Alan, I don't want to ruin the YouTube algorithm for you in case you can monetize these in the future.
They actually don't monitor past like I think an hour and a half
streams?
for mature content. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so now
Yeah,
we can say whatever we want.
Okay. Technically, yeah, the mother is naked, but she doesn't have titties, so it's okay.
Nipples.
Yep, she's incredibly flat-chested.
She's an android. It's okay for her to be naked.
But I mean, like she is nude, but it's like just.
She just doesn't have nipples.
Yeah, it's just skin, and like it's very clinical, and it's not like other.
That's one of the main reasons. One of the things I greatly appreciate about the show is its lack of nudity, which is amazing because it's on HBO, which is known for their nudity.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad.
I wouldn't call it family friendly, but it's not family.
It's not.
It's not safe for work. It's not family friendly though.
I wouldn't watch this at work.
Well, this is my work, so yeah. And there's also not a lot of language because it's sci-fi and they have different swears. So
yeah,
there was some swearing.
Jacob brought it up right when you did. Very little cussing too. Yeah, so that's about all I had to say. I really liked episode 5. It just explained a lot.
Yeah,
Things
well,
came
it
together.
teases a lot too because
It does. It teases a lot too.
You kind of see more of the Fremen and that he's intelligent. There's a map played out, and they find those metal playing cards, which I had forgotten about, and I need to.
Those are Mithrian, right?
Mithraean.
Mithraean,
There were Mithraic symbols on those playing cards.
Okay.
See, I figured those were just like scavenged from somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So maybe they're gonna
from the crash of the wreckage of the Mithraic ship or something.
I forgot about them, and I don't remember what happens to those in season 1, and so I'm paying attention to them because of stuff that happens in season 2, which makes me curious. I don't know. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Yeah, I'm very interested in who this mysterious Fremen is.
Yes. After the Vision Quest sex scene, though, they find the encampment. So Marcus leads the group to find Mother and all the people. And there's 5 episodes left.
Yes, I'm so excited. We finally caught up. I read or watched all of this in the first week, and haven't watched anything since. So it's been 3 weeks since we've been doing this, or 4 weeks.
Sorry, I'm excited for you guys to catch up with me because I've had to bite my tongue several times, and like. You guys have made some really good guesses too, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, don't tell me. I want to know if I'm right. I want that.
Yeah,
discovery for myself.
Yeah.
Well, they're
but
making it out
at the same time. I'm trying to dissect all this for my theories of season 3 and beyond. I'm like, I need more answers too. So
they are doing a season 3.
It's yes. It's been planned for 7 or 8 seasons.
Oh wow!
It hasn't been approved for that many yet, but yeah, when the show writer plans, he knows where the plot's going.
Yeah,
he said either 7 or 8 seasons would be the ideal story arc. So yeah.
Yep. Well, I hope it doesn't get canceled early, and I hope that it doesn't get so much success that they're like, "Hey, let's make 12 seasons out of it," and then it just goes to crap. So, hope he sticks with his plans and puts out what he has planned.
Well, that's part of why I'm doing this, because I want people to watch the show so that I can finish it.
Yeah,
I hope it does not get canceled.
Jacob Ironside mentioned mullets.
Oh yes,
In
there are
Halo.
mullets.
I
There are
love
mullets in
that.
Halo too. I love the mullets.
I love that the mullet is like
it's making a comeback.
The
Well,
hairstyle.
it is part of the Mithraic religion, kind of, because if you saw Mother had a mullet originally as well, because she was a necromancer, and then,
I noticed that too.
She gets a haircut, but yeah, it's kind
Very
of
cool.
I don't think it's like a status symbol almost. I love the show, and I'm excited that you guys like it. For me, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Well, I mean, I think that goes into it's a change because, and I've heard this discussion a lot. Companies, the production companies now are concerned about. That's one of the commandments. I will shout out. I know I'm basic, but Film Theory on YouTube. Your boy Matt Pat, he's done good analysis of like trends in the movie industry,
right?
And he says, and I agree with him, that the big companies are more concerned about recognizable intellectual property.
Yes,
and so that's why we're getting shows like Halo and Boba Fett. These are characters that are already up here and are marketable and are sellable,
and this isn't.
Where we had, back when these things were getting established, people that cared about their telling a good story and like getting stuff out there. And I think having a creator that has a plan from start to finish is great.
It is frankly like a miracle that this show exists at all, though, because of that very thing. Shows like Firefly, which become like cult followings. Like everyone loved it, but it was partially canceled because it was original. It wasn't recognizable.
It was also because of the studio executives didn't care about it, and they
because they didn't have faith in it. They
put
didn't
it out
think
of order.
people would watch it.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
They aired it out of order, and it was a complete mess.
And it's shocking to me, to see something this original and on HBO where like the producers haven't said, "Hey, put boobs in it, people will watch it."
A couple of examples I can say were original ideas that kind of took a gamble on the Avatar: The Last Airbender series. Definitely unique concept and a story told from beginning to end.
Great show.
Gravity Falls. I want to give a shout out to that. Like the Alex Hirsch, the creator, that really pushed against like a lot of the things that Disney was telling him to do with it.
He ended it on purpose after 2 seasons, right? They would have let him keep going, and he's like, no, this is the story I want to tell. 2 seasons done, and even that felt a little rushed. I felt like 3 seasons would have been appropriate for Gravity Falls, but I respect it, Elliot, I watch Gravity Falls with my kids, with my kid.
It's a fun one.
I think people need to read more books. I feel like a lot of the original ideas are coming out in books and graphic novels and things right now.
Yeah, it's the frontier.
Yeah.
Of thought, right? And I'm reading Terry Pratchett right now. I'm reading Making Money, which is the sequel to Going Postal, which is one of the best books I've ever read. And the more I read of Terry Pratchett, the more I just think to myself, like, why don't they make a Discworld cinematic universe? It would be so good. You could do movies and TV shows, and it's all there. Like, you wouldn't have to do any work. Just pick up one of the books and make it. And it'd all be interconnected. Like, it feels like the kind of thing that producers would cream over. You know. But
I read. I keep giving suggestions.
What's your suggestion?
I finished reading Promise of Blood, which is the first book in the
Powder Mage
trilogy, which was good. I liked it. But again, kind of there were some elements that I think this author may have taken some of Brandon Sanderson's courses and taken some pages out of his book, but it was still kind of some original ideas, and
nice.
I think people need that. I'm trying to think if there were any movies I've seen recently that I was like, yeah, that was original.
I rewatched a movie, Oblivion, with Tom Cruise. That's a really good sci-fi movie. I remember watching it in theaters, and I rewatched. I think it came out on HBO, and I rewatched it, and I was like, "This movie is fantastic."
It's where
underrated.
Yeah,
but it was good.
It's really good.
It's got Morgan Freeman in it.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. I won't say much because I don't want to spoil it, but that one is good.
I think it's Morgan Freeman. It has a black guy in it, which is probably if you're doing a numbers game, probably Morgan Freeman.
That was not racist. Not racist at all. No.
Morgan Freeman is in everything. That's the joke. It's either Morgan Freeman or Samuel L. Jackson. If it's a black guy, it's one of those.
But like the issue with IP, like Free Guy, like kind of a riff on GTA, but like kind of a quasi original concept. And then the climax was, look at all these IPs.
Yeah.
You know Captain America.
Hey,
you know
Star Wars.
Yeah. You know the Hulk. And it's like you ruined it.
They did. They really ruined the movie.
And I mean, that's what Space Jam 2 was.
I didn't even watch it.
No, that was
bad.
That was bad.
Don't.
Yeah.
LeBron James literally writes his ideal basketball team, and they're all Warner Brothers properties. And it's like, oh, King Kong, Superman. And like, it's just literally a list of, look at what we have.
I'm going to say something controversial. The original Space Jam doesn't hold up.
No.
I rewatched that recently.
In a while, I mean.
It is not a good movie.
If it was fun when it came out. Nostalgia.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
100% agree with you.
I kind of want to do like a series of rewatching movies I loved as a kid and seeing which like does it hold up or something like that. Because some of them don't. So a lot of them do, and some of them are like, I cannot believe I liked this as a kid.
Have you guys seen Willow?
Oh,
I love Willow.
Are you kidding me?
Awesome.
Holds up.
Willow.
Willow is so good.
That's an example
David
of George
named
Lucas.
his daughter after a Willow character.
Almost.
Who did?
We almost named our daughter Elora, but then we decided just Laura.
What's funny is what's funny is his daughter Laura, when she was born, looked like Warwick Davis from Willow.
Don't let him say she looks like Willow.
She's beautiful, but she was born with like a full head of hair, and she had and her smile. Oh, she's beautiful now. She doesn't look like Warwick Davis anymore, but when she was newborn, she looked like Willow. And then when they came out and said, "Oh, we almost named her Laura Dannon, a little daikini baby."
I've had 2 students with that name.
Laura?
Because of Willow.
Oh, it's a great movie. Also, Val Kilmer is one of my like top underrated actors of all time.
He's great in that.
Yeah.
There is talk of they're doing a Willow TV show. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I think it's a Netflix thing. So.
I'm pretty sure Disney's doing it.
Is it Disney? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, it is a Disney property.
It's a Disney property, yeah.
Yes, so it would be Disney Plus.
Yeah, they did a promotional thing where Warwick went around and talked to all the new actors and stuff that are attached to it, and it was kind of funny. But he was just talking about how none of these upcoming actors were alive when the movie came out. He's just it's pretty funny though. You should watch it.
I love Willow though; it's great.
Yeah.
Also, I had
fantastic.
a huge crush on the love interest in that one. The girl, the
Oh, yeah.
princess. No, she wasn't a princess. The daughter of like the Dark Lord, that's a great take too.
I think she is part of my unknown
awakening
sexual development. Like I was young enough to not really get what was going on. But now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm into redheads. I kind of like when girls are mean to me.
That's hilarious.
The other person, and I'm ashamed to say it, but the Nazi girl in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, like
the Nazi.
Aside from the Nazi part, but like
if you could look past that,
yeah,
she's actually got a lot of great personality.
Yeah, and I mean, like she didn't agree with everything that Nazis were doing. She was more in it to get.
She was just
Holy
following orders,
No, but I can link my romantic preferences to some of the things from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So
that's funny.
Nice. But no,
Nazism is not one of them.
I did recently rewatch Willow when Disney Plus launched and watched it with the whole family, and it holds up. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the special effects maybe a little bit dated, but it's a good, solid movie.
A lot of them hold up. A lot of them were practical and they look good.
Yeah.
Some of them are clay animation and
yeah.
But
some of the little bikini, or what do you call those little tiny
the brownies?
Yeah, the brownies or whatever. It's obviously
Yeah.
green screened in some shots,
Yeah.
and they didn't quite comp it in there correctly.
Yeah.
But it's still, the story is fantastic.
But we gotta advocate for original properties and original stories.
Yeah. But or they could do a Willow sequel, and then you don't
I
have
think
to
that's
think.
a step in the right direction.
Then you
but-
don't even have to.
it
You don't
could
even
be
have to
good,
think
though.
about it, bro. You can just. Yeah, it is kind of an obscure thing. It doesn't come with like that big following that people would jump onto. So,
But they've got a dedicated fan base. It's I hope they don't
we'll see.
screw it up.
Yeah, it could just be another property that Disney ruins. So,
Time will tell.
Not bored again.
Willow, you idiot.
Is it Willow she calls an idiot?
Yeah.
yeah, because he turns her into a
goat.
a bunch of different animals. But
Yeah.
in that scene, it's a goat.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Well, I don't think Corwin's coming back.
Yeah.
We'll have to hear his opinion next week, where we're just doing one episode. We're doing Raised by Wolves episode 6 and Moon Knight episode 1, or maybe 3. Have they
However
announced
many
how
they
many?
dropped? I don't know.
It's
look
it's
it
a
up.
the episode count is very small.
Yeah,
It's
so they're
only
probably
like
just doing
6.
one.
I think it's only 6 episodes, so yeah, probably just one.
Yeah.
Seems
When does that
strange.
actually
It feels
drop?
like it was supposed to be a movie.
Yeah, one at a time.
Why would you drop a 6 episode? That's so little.
I know. I think anything under 10,
Unless
is
they're
not enough for a
all
TV show.
hour long, then okay. Like Raised by Wolves season 2 is just 8 episodes, but it's a good chunk. It's 48, 50 minute to an hour episodes.
Yeah, I think 10 should be the minimum for a season of any show, just personally. But
Yeah,
I guess it depends on the story.
I could have used 2 more episodes of Raised by Wolves season 2.
Oh, can I? I'll plug.
But I think the pandemic had some effect on the episode count of this one.
Yeah.
I think there's a show I love called Documentary Now, and
it's great. That's Netflix.
They do smaller seasons, but boy, is it hilarious!
But those are extensive. Documentary Now, each episode is a completely different set. Like it's an anthology series of fake documentaries, and it's genius. What season are they on right now? Because I think I don't think I finished season 2. I need to go back and watch.
I think they've just done 2 seasons.
Which one's your favorite?
I love.
If you have not watched Documentary Now,
go watch
it. It is so life-changingly good.
So I love the Blue Jean Committee 2-parter, but the one
that was season 2, right? So I think I did finish.
No, that's season 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I loved the narco one. That one. Mexico drug dealing documentary.
If you've seen Hero Dreams of Sushi, they have a parody called Juan Dreams of Chicken. And it's like a perfect parody. And that's the thing. The other one I love is called Batshit Valley, and it guest stars Owen Wilson and Michael Keaton in 2 episodes. And I figured out what it's parodying. It's another documentary on Netflix, and there are like perfect shot compositions where they parody the source material, and it's also hilarious. So
nice.
It's that one. Bill Hader, Fred Armisen, and John
Fred
Mulaney. So the 3 of them are kind of the executives. They're like the writers, and they're the ones doing it. And then it stars Bill Hader and Fred Armisen a lot, and John Mulaney I think is in 1 episode.
A bunch of goofballs there.
There's some
John
great
Mulaney's
music
great.
in it too. So
what's it's a Wild Country is the documentary it's pairing.
Yeah,
I don't think I finished season 2 then, because
see, that's on Netflix now. I don't have access to Netflix because
I stopped paying for Netflix.
Someone let their subscription lapse.
Yeah, because I'm paying for HBO so that we can do this. I don't need Netflix right now.
I'm on my parents' Netflix. Otherwise, I'd offer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm already paying for Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, and so anyway.
Streaming is quickly becoming the same as not cable. Streaming used to be.
Yeah,
so
same as cable, but
because we all got to go in on Paramount Plus, right, to watch Halo.
No.
There is, if you get a free trial, there's a show on Paramount Plus. Give me a second to remember what it's called.
Send it to me later. I gotta go.
Okay, it's 2 guys who decide they're going to make a true crime documentary. They're comedians and they know nothing about true crime other than the shows they've watched. Brilliant. Okay, well, it's been a day. Thanks for joining us, and you guys have anything else to say before we send off?
I don't think so. Thanks for having us.
If we're talking about subscription services, I've seen several commercials for the Apple Plus shows, and not a single one of them looks interesting.
Ted Lasso is really good. If you haven't seen Ted Lasso, you need to watch Ted Lasso.
They also did the Foundation show, which people have said is terrible. The worst.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not paying for Apple Plus for one good show.
Yeah, that's why I didn't do it either. Luckily, I got a couple months with my phone when I bought my phone. So that's what I've been using it for. Because, yeah, I wouldn't do it just for Ted Lasso. But Ted Lasso is really good. So if you have the chance to do it, like a trial or something,
Oh,
We'll have to do that. Binge
Paramount
it or
Plus.
something.
It's called For Heaven's Sake. Yeah, if you sign up for a free trial, if you want to binge Halo after it's all out, and you sign up for a free trial, make sure that you watch For Heaven's Sake. It's two comedians. It's a real story about one of their great grandfather who just disappeared one day, and they try and uncover the mystery of what actually happened to his real life great grandfather. And it is hilarious. It's so good. Okay.
Interesting.
Well,
All right.
see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.